Thank you all so much for joining us. We are so very excited to be welcoming Better World Museum, better known as Paige. Come on to the stage.
Thank you, everybody. I'm so delighted and honored to be here together. You are all my community members, and I love you. Thank you.
Yes, thank
Yay, high
you.
five.
We'd love to just start off by, congratulating you with the Giza Pyramids, Horizon Museum, Atrium World Hub, just all coming out in the last couple of weeks.
Giza was a special project that was born out of the love of collaboration. Burn Buns and Flutterby, they were really the main creators. I truly just made a hat and a couple of archaeological artifacts, but I really acted as the support and the cheer in this collaborative world. It's part of a series of the new galleries that are aligned with the pyramids, the Parthenon, and Palmyra, Syria. So these are the first three World Heritage sites and archaeological sites that are part of this new series of worlds.
Before we start talking about these amazing worlds that you've been working on recently, can you tell us how did you get started in Horizon? Because I'm not sure if anyone else here is aware of this, but I know that you have been here longer than anyone else. I don't know anyone who's been here longer that's not a developer. So how did you get into Horizon, and what has that experience been like, coming in over a year ago?
So in November 2019, I began as the first cohort of 25 community builders in Horizon, and I'm a pre-alpha creator, and I was selected because of my passion for community building. As a founder of BetterWorldMuseum, was a brick and mortar space downtown Minneapolis for 5 years. And during that time, I had this VR garden in which over 200 people drew in this participatory garden. And I had submitted to the Facebook Community Leadership Program and was admitted in the first inaugural program of the Facebook Community Leadership Program. There was about almost 7,000 applicants from 46 countries, and they selected 100 adults and 17 teens to be part of the first cohort. And with their support, created a pop-up traveling museum in which enabled at least 4,000 more people to draw in the VR garden. At
That's
that time,
amazing.
I was also using Facebook Spaces to amplify the VR garden. I would do these like constant daily live Facebook Spaces drawing climate related resilient things like hummingbirds and flowers and trees, and I would do it live and people would make comments. And Lisa invited me to Oculus 5, OC5, to join a Facebook Spaces party event. And that is when I met Nava Berg, Nava K, in real life. But we had already met
That's
in
so exciting.
Facebook Spaces
Yeah.
and had been drawing together and connecting. So already this community was forming before I knew anything at all about Horizon. And after the Facebook Community Leadership Program, I then began as a Horizon pre-alpha creator. So one thing
Wow.
transitioned right into the next.
With this initial joining in this alpha stage, what was the first things you started building, and how did that progress into building these amazing museums inside of Horizon?
The very first thing I made was a flying red bird. And then I was really, really, really intent on creating atmosphere. So my first worlds were like rainbows or rain. At that time, there were like less abilities, and I had less abilities. So Horizon was
Yeah.
more primitive at that time, and I was just so delighted the first time that I was able to make raindrops fall or stand inside
Yeah.
of a trigger and make the rainbow appear on my own at the very first time. Right? It was just like, oh, eureka. Before the museum ever started, I created a Horizon Art School and
Hmm.
Better World Museum, which is its own space. There is a Better World Museum, actually, that's different than Horizon Museum here, and that is for artist in resident at Better World Museum. The theme is creating a better world, and that can look like anything in the world you want. It's a really cool, neutral, creative space. Horizon Art School, I used to host climate hackathons there when there were still only 25. And then the first wave of new people, we were each allowed to invite two friends. So the 25 became like around 75 or 80 people.
Sometimes on this show we've been a little bit negative towards other social platforms, but I have loved seeing the cross between Horizon and some of the other ways Better World Museum is. Can you talk a little bit, positively? How has that connection been created and formed, and how does it continue to expand?
When I closed the museum, it was actually before COVID. So by the time COVID hit, I was really extremely well positioned to be 100% in VR. And I was secretly building in Horizon, but I couldn't talk about it. So just used a template space inside of Rec Room one night and hosted a VR garden drawing party and pizza party. And it was great. It was
Oh
a
yeah.
hit. All night long, people in Rec Room kept coming, and most of them were people I knew, my friends. But then these three young, giggly people came, and they were awesome. And I didn't ask them to leave. They were super disruptive, and I just invited them to join us. And they had such a good time, they offered to create a new museum for me. So they were 13 and 15 years old, and they created an amazing museum. They were incredible world builders. I was just blown away by them. It made them feel resilient and fantastic. I was able to share their work at the World Health Organization at a art and COVID symposium. So that transitioned right into Horizon Art Museum's Plus Community Voices program, where this became a way to welcome people in and teach them how to build a interactive button to amplify their voice. So now you asked, how is this crossing outside of Horizon into another platform? I just participated with a team for the F8 Spark AR F8 hackathon. With my team, we created a Spark AR filter that highlighted my world, the Parthenon, part of the Giza series.
Yes.
And within the Spark AR filter, you like see aspects, but there will be a link that goes to the Oculus link for the Parthenon. And that's the first
Yeah.
time I've tried to really like use another Facebook creator tool outside of Horizon to bring people somehow into Horizon as a
Wow.
portal. So
Yeah.
yeah, face filter or AR filters may be helpful. We'll
Yeah.
see. And then accompanying, like I can see fleshing that out. Lately, these worlds that we've been building have these NPC characters. You helped me build the first one with that little hopper froggy, right? And
Yeah.
and now they've proliferated into new spaces. And you'll see one in Giza. This one doesn't follow you, but I'd like it to. But each one is like an aspect of me, these NPCs, even though they're just rectangles with eyes and cute smiles. Each one is like an aspect of my own identity. And that reminds me like an AR filter as well, right? So I was just part of like this avatar hosted by future artists. Mark Ashmore's future artists had a symposium on avatars and the beings and places we live. And certainly Horizon is the place I live, right? I live within my avatar, right? And that's part of me. But
Mhm.
also, as I said, that's now extended into these personalities of the NPCs. They're also part of me.
Our avatars, being this really amazing thing, and we're about to see the latest version of avatars are coming out. And as we see those avatars become cross compatible with other, apps, other experiences, perhaps we might see them in Rec Room or the other social apps. In this universe, as it's just a budding virtual reality universe, we have 3 or 4 really primary social networks. And I would kind of like to see them all stay. I'm all in on Horizon. I love Horizon. I think it's the best. But that being said, I think there's huge value in keeping all of them around and having diverse experiences. And I'd love to see it where my avatar in Horizon is the same avatar when I go to Rec Room or VR Chat or any of these other ones.
Mm.
And that I can say, hang out with my friends who might be from VR Chat. I know up to late, she has tons of friends in these other apps and she wants us to go there. I don't feel comfortable going there right now because the interconnection between Horizon outside of it with our other apps isn't there yet. But I think as we start seeing things like I'll be able to party up with Merc and then say, hey, let's go play Beat Saber or any other apps we own. Like that's coming. We're getting closer and closer to that.
Hmm.
And as that becomes more
That'll be
comfortable
killer.
and our avatars start being the same, I think we're going to be able to go and check out that, you were talking about the kids made a Better World Museum in, I think it was Rec Room you said. I would love to go check that out and I'd feel super comfortable going there with you. I would feel a little uncomfortable having a different avatar though, right? Like,
Mm.
I don't know how, but being able to
I
go there, I
have to
think
be
that would be
honest
a
with
really
you.
cool
I
future.
really like my Rec Room avatar. It's totally different than this one, but the
Yeah.
fashions there are awesome, first of all. And of course, you can make fashions here. They are each unique. I just
Mm,
experienced going to Neos and I was there actually meeting a friend and talking about art. And none of the avatars were really quite me, except for this
mm.
weird dog with the pink shorts on. And it's strange, but somehow I identified with like this floppy eared, cute little nosed. And I was shorter than like the person who was there was like this big, like furry like thing. And I was just like, I'm not really sure I can have like a serious meeting when I'm like
Yeah.
shorter and like this puppy. Right. So it did
Yeah.
totally change some dynamics. I like how I look here. I don't hate the way I
Yeah.
look or feel in Rec Room at all. In fact, I
Hmm.
feel a little cute there, even though I have
Yeah.
like eyes that like animate on their own, right? But this is definitely my preferred, and it would be great
Hmm.
to stay like this. And I would love to go play Beat Saber together with all of you
Yeah.
as our avatar.
Yes.
I believe that like Facebook Horizon allows us to be more seamless into reality. Like my reality and life in Horizon are already the same. It's not one or the other, right?
I don't want to be wearing costumes all the time. Like if you went to
No.
VR chat, you have to wear the hot dog costume. But I would love to put one on every so often.
Yeah.
Like every so
I
often.
do.
Enjoy
I
I
more.
love
remember
wearing costumes. Yeah.
when I joined
Thank you.
Horizon back in October, it was probably closer to September, but October rolled around, we had the Halloween event. And I remember going thinking, where are
Oh,
the costumes? How
yes.
do I put costumes on? And there were no, like, that wasn't a
Nava's
thing yet.
World.
Hopefully it'll come around. But yeah, that
It
one's a
had
great example
just
of costumes.
begun, and her Horizon Runway was our very first world with costumes. It
Yes,
was
so
the
much
Yeah, we
most
had a
fun.
lot of fun in
exciting thing
there.
in the world
Yeah,
to do. Mine are
yeah.
the purple grapes if you go there and check it out. Every world that there's costumes totally is exciting. I love it.
I would love to take a costume with me. I'd love to, like, put on the princess. There was, like, the little princess with the wings. I would love to wear that around for a
Yeah.
day.
Oh, I like that.
just
Yeah.
for the kicks. It'd be so fun. But
It
yeah,
would
no,
be
that's awesome.
fantastic if the costumes and accessories, wearables could hop from world to world, certainly. But it's
Yeah.
really exciting just to build costumes into your world. They're part of my game design. I'm in a game design class. It's so cool. It's just for museums. It's part of Games for
Ooh.
Change. And this course is
Yeah.
called Game Plan. And there's about 90 to 120 other museum professionals in the United States that are in this program. And it's six
What?
months. And during it, I've been really enjoying that along with the mini game that have been here have really
Yeah.
been inspiring. There's a critic game developed by MoMA and the Institute of Play that I've recreated
Mm.
with wearables at
Yes.
the sculpture park. And
Yeah.
oh, I love that. And then now I'm working on a game called Love It or Hate It. And all of these are games that build on having diverse groups of people sharing extreme and opposing feelings and understanding and building empathy with each other. And my hope is through games like Love It or Hate It, right? Everyone walks through a museum and says, I love it or I hate it, right? And I used to work in the basement of a main storage of a museum, and I used to have these bad dreams about this asmat art and that I got raffia all over the place, and it made me like have to like lean in more to it. So now I like it. It's more
Yeah.
than okay. But at one point, I was like, oh no. Anyway, yeah, I've had a long museum career, and from working in encyclopedic museums to showing in museums, using social media actually helped my art included in an exhibit, Gutai Splendid Playground at the Guggenheim. Through social media, I was able to collaborate with museums doing one-day residencies, and I did that with the Worcester, the De Cordova Sculpture Park, the Huntington Museum. But then I
Yeah.
developed drawing iPad software inspired by the game Draw Something by Zynga. I created a drawing program called Museum Draw. And with Museum Draw, I would go to these museums and draw with audiences. Even for Creative Tech Week, I came back to the
Hmm.
Guggenheim and led a tour, then transformed into Horizon Art Museum, all in 3D.
That's
And
amazing.
now having
Wow.
these games. So it's been a real evolution. Quantity is not always needed, but quality. So using your voice, even though we have really busy lives, that doesn't mean if you want to use social media, you don't have to like constantly be posting, although it's a really good idea to post frequently so that every time someone opens their feed, there you are. And you can use Facebook tools inside of Facebook Blueprint. You're able to like schedule posts. I did that during Women's History Month for Horizon Art Museum. I had a post scheduled for each day of the month sharing
Okay.
one women creator, but there's other tools that are built into Facebook that will help you, and Instagram, like stories are really like popular with people. So you
Okay.
can also check your metrics and like see when is a good time. I'm in like this Facebook community manager course that I can actually be certified as a community manager. And
Right.
I think that's kind of cool. And
That's super
I
cool.
don't know. Yeah, it's kind of cool. And so I'm going to do it. If you wanted, there's like guides and strategies all laid out. Now, I don't do all that. I'm a real watery person. I post when I feel passionate and inspired. I would say my best advice is, and I once was asked this at a job interview at a museum social media manager, and I did not get the job, but I know that my answer was correct. And I'm sure they didn't hire me because of it. Okay, but I know that I'm right. What people want online in worlds and across social media is love, right? They want to feel
Mm.
valued and loved. and that's it, right? But so treating
Yeah.
people lovingly and respectfully and amplifying their voice and making people feel like it only takes a second to feel connected with somebody, right? Like responding back to somebody or liking somebody's thing. It doesn't take too much effort to do that, to build like a whole
Hmm.
system, a circular economy of loving,
Yeah, I totally
right?
agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
And yeah.
I feel like that's a part of what we're all are doing here and why I do love Facebook so much. I mean, I've spent little time in the other social platforms because I never like felt like I connected with a real person there. We're here
Hmm.
on a daily basis. I feel very like I'm meeting. I always say like, well, I'll see you later, like in real life, but like not in real life, but in VR, like, but
Yes.
it's so different from everything else.
Mm.
Just the stuff that you're doing for women, encouraging them to build and like it's just as my wife was like looking at things that you've done and was like, wow, look at these things. Like, and I just said, I like, come on, like, let's go build, you know? And you're just doing amazing things for the whole community. I absolutely love it. Everybody's growing.
Thank you. Truly, I learn how to be a better builder every time I visit somebody else's world. My scripting abilities are really low when I go to other people's worlds and see what there is. But my advice to anyone starting out would just be like, do something really elemental and go slow and just build on that. So when
Yeah,
player enters trigger, boom, like a million things can then happen. Like,
right.
and just starting really simple, you can evolve like a flower. And
Yeah,
that makes
totally.
me think of, I want to invite you all. I just started a new program called the Garden Club, and it's to help people actually grow stronger together, right? To
Right.
grow together.
Yeah.
And it's summer long hackathon style. You'll come the last Sunday of each month. Will be meetups where we can share our worlds and have like some highlights of builders. But then at the very end, there'll be a public expo and judging and prizes. So the people who win will have great experience and opportunities inside of Horizon. There'll be a treasury of gold. There'll be a new car. There'll be a 2-day stay on the villa at Love Island. This world I never published. It's actually my very first kind of like real social world is this VR island, which is for
Yeah.
a future reality love
Yeah.
game show. So I'm moving and then that can be like my next focus. Totally like an experiment on how we can be more compassionate and empathetic and more loving, and that can be a model for people on the outside world, then also maybe treat each other better in the world also.
Yeah,
Love it.
that's
We'll see. I
amazing.
really actually believe that what we do in Horizon can change and make a better world in and out of all
Yes.
programs. Build a world with Greta, the climate marvel. So I'd love to get her into Horizon and be part of the Garden Club. So I'd love to use Horizon more with like thought leaders and promote more large scale social change. We are all thought leaders, but I'd really like to somehow use it as a bridge to people who are not VR natives,
Yeah,
bring them in and have that more global impact. I think that
that's
we
amazing.
can be having climate and world economic forums and like huge global summits here. So
Right.
I'd
Yeah,
love to see
totally.
that.
Who would you say is your biggest inspiration in life?
Oh, that's such a good question. Flat out, my mom. I think every person that I meet is really inspiring, to be honest with you. Everyone has a unique story and something to share. I've met incredibly famous people. I've met directors of museums and security guards of museums. And honestly, like I learn and I get inspired by all of them.
Yeah, 100% agree. I am not one to
Yeah.
have favorites. It's maybe one of my biggest downfalls in life, but it's also really nice to be able to inspire from everyone, whether it's Burn Buns, Flutterby, the John McClay, Will 400, Sassy, even you, Brad, and Fei. I mean, every time we talk to somebody, we are inspired by the few things that they say to us, and they don't realize the impact they've made on our life. And that's the thing, is so often people do not realize the impact they've made on your life. So if they have, make sure to say it, because it really helps cycle that circle of love and compassion that you were talking about just a minute ago.
Absolutely. And liking those worlds, like your worlds totally inspire me as much as you do. Like it's totally true. All of your details I look at and admire and ooh over. I'm really excited to share these two world hubs, and I'm so honored to be here tonight. It's just a true treat. So we have Giza,
Whoop, whoop.
really, really special world, part of the ever expanding Forever Museum Horizon. And the newest world that I made it just this week, and it is inspired by my Headspace Dreamscape app that I currently listen to, a dreamscape about like this blue, like Turkish bath. And so I made a pretty tiled floor and this like atrium, and it has some portal doors. I'm out of capacity already, so it doesn't host all my doors.
Well, thank you
Right.
so much again, Paige. Honestly, the honor was all ours. We just are so
For real.
appreciative of you coming here today. And thank you all in the audience for coming. We really appreciate you as well. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Oh my gosh, I can't do it anymore. Bye.